Good evening all and welcome. Before the video begins, I'd like to extend a very happy belated birthday to Elke, a real star member of our community. Thank you for all the comments, Elke, and constantly watching. You really are a gold star. But for now, we're going to be delving into the deep web, so take everything with a pinch of salt, as I cannot verify the authenticity of all these stories. I'll leave that down to you. It'll be fun, nonetheless, to be listening to these, hopefully from the safety of your computer. Just make sure your webcam's off, eh? But for now, it's time to get comfortable. Plug yourself in, and let the darkness take control. I'm what you call an internet security enthusiast. A while back I was working with a group to index every .onion server on the Onion router. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. On good days we would get about 10,000 servers. More than half of these would normally be down or inactive, and online ones usually consisted of hacking community sites, places to buy shady services, and of course illegal drugs, firearms, sex slave marketplaces. However, one site in particular stood out as the shadiest of them all. On a quick glance, it appeared to be a medical testing blog. Diving deep, it seemed that a small group of medical students would essentially stalk, abduct, and perform experiments on women, usually prostitutes. The experiments weren't typically sexual or violent in nature, but it seemed abducted women were in vitrally fertilized and then given high doses of psychedelics, stimulants, and other esoteric drugs. The level of detail that went into these online reports seemed like actual doctors were administering these drugs into the pregnant women. Dosages both in frequency and strength were recorded along with any growth development issues with the baby and symptoms experienced by the mother. The entire site, an idea left my stomach in knots because the site read like a creepypasta. But given the level of detail and nature of Tor, it had a certain amount of validity, and it was more than just someone from 4chan trolling. When I was a freshman in high school, my best friend and I were very into the whole deep web thing. We had Tor and would exchange onion ports that we discovered and would explore them together. We saw some weird stuff. Right off the bat was a site for a professional hitman, which we decided was definitely run by the FBI. We discovered a series of chans, or Deep Web 4chan clones. Some of these were very weird, and some that we saw were definitely illegal. We were fascinated by those in particular because, of course, we were both idiots at the time. Lots of disturbing and violent things, gore. Sometimes the two overlapped. We tended to stay away from that stuff, as it was a pretty big buzzkill. Finding the Silk Road was cool, even though we never bought anything. Probably the weirdest stuff I ever found were the personal ads. There was a bulletin board where people would just ask to do the most deviant, incomprehensible stuff to someone and vice versa. I think about the Craigslist killer when I remember those things, and wonder how many of those people actually ended up acting out those fantasies. I grew up all my life glued to a computer. When I first started talking, I was already browsing through my uncle's computer, switching between games. By the time I was 10, I was talking over my family's MSN accounts and making them send each other awkward messages. I was 10 at the time, so the messages were stuff like, "I hate you," or "Give me back my Power Ranger." As you can imagine, I had no friends growing up. I was bullied and pushed around a lot. I'm autistic, so I guess that was the reason. However, I don't know, nor will I ever. My old man kept telling me I had to stand up for myself, that I had to show them I wasn't afraid. Truth is, I couldn't fight back. I tried, but my punches were weak, and my kicks would tickle. I spent the best part of 6 years thinking the only way I could fight back was by physically fighting them. Little did I know that the world I grew up in, the virtual world, was about to become a second life for everyone. From here on, my mistakes started to pile up. I was 16. Everyone was using Facebook, Twitter, whatever was more popular. People flocked to it. I had a main bully, as you can say. Brock. He was the definition of an arse. I guess it made what I did to him easier to live with. Brock loved to brag. His girlfriend was hot, his figure was fit, and he was amazing at sports. His only downside, as you can imagine, was he was dumb as hell, and he hated anyone that excelled academically. Surprise, surprise. I, on the other hand, was a smart ass, very good at problem solving. I guess that was the upside to my autism. He hated that, and proceeded to make my life a living hell. I tried fighting back again, using my weak body, forgetting my strongest weapon was my mind. One day, I was browsing Facebook, and found Brock as a suggested friend. He was in my world, and suddenly something clicked. I created a burn account, jazzed it up, made it look legit, and I added Brock as a friend and proceeded to find out as much as I could about him. I found his girlfriend and added her too. I sent Brock an email from Facebook claiming his account had been compromised, and in order to secure it again, to download a PDF file attached with all the security measures updated. Of course, to keep his account, he downloaded the document. Fool. I now had access to his laptop, and proceeded to find out everything there was to know about him. I knew so much that at any point in time, I could tell you where he was, what he was doing, and who he was doing it with. I had his laptop camera send me images every so often so I knew what he was up to. When his girlfriend came over, I was ready. I booted up my online dating application and started sending messages to Brock. Hey baby, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Last week was a blast. I won't go into so much detail, but due to the fact that I knew what he was up to, it was easy to convince his girlfriend that his online babe was real. It didn't stop there. I downloaded onto his laptop as much gay porn as I could find. This was at a time where homosexuality wasn't as accepted as it was today. You could imagine how his parents reacted to his fun drive. He didn't come back to school since then. My guess is that he moved out of town. I don't know. I don't care to look anymore. To me, that was a small victory, and I relished in it. Now I wish I'd have stopped there. Oh God, I wish I had. But I was addicted. That feeling of justice being served by my hands was one I loved and wanted more of. So I targeted criminals, the type that used the dark web to hide and spread their filth. For 4 years straight, I was a pain in their asses. Pedophiles, rapists, heavy drug dealers, you name it. If they were online, I was making their lives a living hell. I thought I was being smart. I thought I was hiding myself pretty well. But screw it, man. Something was following me every step of the way, and it would soon tell me. I woke up one morning, as any normal day. I made eggs and toast for breakfast with a glass of orange juice, booted up my desktop and began to browse Reddit. The usual, guys complaining that something was overpowered, something was underpowered, and the game designers weren't listening. The usual morning chuckle. And then I hear the familiar ping of the Facebook Messenger notification. Funny, I hadn't opened Facebook yet. Maybe I did and forgot. But that wouldn't make sense as I rarely open Facebook anyway. It was odd, but not enough to sound any major alarms. A message from someone I don't know. Hey Danny, what's the weather like in Japan? What? Weather in Japan? I'm on the other side of the world. The name read James Puckerson, and on my other monitor I started to go through his profile trying to find any mutual friends. Someone I met in a party or something? I responded with, Sunny. I hope anyone who knows me knows I always hate the rain. I kept looking, but nothing of interest popped up. James replies, "Ooh, a funny guy. Tell me, Danny, do you enjoy playing games?" At this point, I think he's referring to video games. "Yeah, dude, what did you have in mind? Bit of League of Legends? RuneScape? I don't mind." "Oh, Danny, I didn't mean one of those childish games. I mean real games. You know, the type that involves putting one's life on the line." I let out a chuckle. Someone probably hacked my Facebook account, added this weird-ass account that was now trolling me. "This isn't a joke, Danny. I take these games extremely seriously." "Okay, what? How did he know?" I laughed. Did he guess? There's no way he could see me. My camera isn't even plugged in. How could he have gotten into my apartment? My Facebook profile had a fake address on it, and I never used my real address for anything, not even Amazon or eBay. This had to be a joke. So I wrote back, "Sure, dude, bored as hell anyway." I was buying time, trying to find out where this guy was. I scoured everywhere, trying to find any small clue to latch onto. And I found something, and kept going and looking into it more, eventually leading up to an address. When I looked at the address, I froze, as I could feel my blood draining from my face. It was my address. I was the only one living there, but somehow this guy was using my address as a cover. Ping. "I see you've gone extremely pale, Danny. What's the matter? Don't believe in ghosts?" I couldn't move. This guy could see me. He knew every move I was making, and I didn't know what to do. Do I run and burn everything down? Fry my hard drives and shred my motherboard? What the hell's going on? Ding! My phone starts to ring. But it isn't James. The caller ID read, "Mum." I picked up. I hesitate to speak. I can't show my mum I'm afraid of something. She'd worry. So I try to act cool. Hey Mum, everything alright?" What I heard next made me drop my phone in horror. It made me realize that this was real and not a joke. A voice obviously modulated to hide the identity of the caller, but the threat was real, and I knew who it was. "Hey Danny, what's the weather like in Japan?" I stood frozen in horror. Panic swept over my body, and thoughts flooded my mind. What happened to my mother? Is she okay? What was this guy doing with her phone? I knew I had to calm down. Something didn't seem right. I picked up the phone and looked at the caller ID, and it just said Mum, no number. How could I be so stupid? He was masking his caller ID. Must be to throw me off balance. I'll play along. There must be something I'm missing. What are you doing with my mum's phone? Where is she? Is she okay? A laugh came from the other end, a deep, disgusting laugh. I decided to record the call. Maybe I could play around with the recording to find its real voice. I may not be much, but this guy knows where I live, and probably who my parents are. Then he starts talking. Danny, Danny, Danny. The safety of your mother depends on the outcome of our little game. I told you one's life is on the line. I should have elaborated and said that it shouldn't necessarily be the player's life. So, are you ready to play? At this point I thought, how can James see me? I have no cameras connected to my Wi-Fi. My desktop camera is disconnected, and I ripped out my laptop camera when I bought it. Another option would be that he broke into my apartment and installed cameras when I was out. But why would he risk getting caught like that? I may have cameras at home and catch him doing it. No, he must be using one of my devices. Doesn't seem like I have a choice, I reply. Let's play. I braced myself for what he would say. We've all watched those horror movies. These games weren't exactly Mario Kart sort of level. And suddenly I knew I wanted to throw myself from my apartment for how stupid I'd been. In my hand I held the single device that had a camera that was connected to my Wi-Fi, my phone. I didn't want to jump to the conclusion that that was the only camera that was being used, so I decided to test it. Before I did anything though, he began to speak. Well, Danny, I must say you've got balls. Most guys would have started to beg or cry. This will most certainly be fun. I'd had enough of this, and I started to test my theory. I began Googling things like how to track a phone call and how to find cameras in a house. I wanted to see if he could see my screen, and sure enough, the confirmation came through. Oh, Danny, it's cute you're still trying to fight back, but I can assure you you will not be able to track this call and will not be able to find out how I can see you. Challenge accepted, dickhead. I angle my phone away from my bag and take out a USB dongle. If this guy has my Wi-Fi, I'm gonna make him think he's controlling all of my devices. I look for my laptop while trying to make as little noise as possible, and again, angling the phone away from what I'm doing, I find my laptop, boot it up, and plug my dongle in. Yeah, well, I'm one tough cookie. So when are we playing, James? And do go over the rules properly, yeah? I like to whoop your ass while playing by your rules. My strategy was to show no fear, when in truth I was terrified, but I knew the instant he smelled fear he'd have total control over me, and I'd mess up and forget basic stuff, like the moment this all started. My laptop finished booting up. Excellent. I knew this guy was using my network somehow, so I decided to hack into my own network and see how he got in. Maybe he left something behind. The rules are simple, Danny. You wanted to play judge, jury, and executioner. We're gonna go through your history of White Knight Justice and see how much of a hero you really are. Hero, huh? There was a time when I thought I was a hero. Maybe it was when I made that child molester end his life. I told myself I was a hero because he wouldn't hurt another child. In truth, was I a murderer? Was this my past coming to haunt me? No time to think about it. It isn't just my life on the line here. Everyone I care about is in danger, and there's no time to be selfish. Ha! Hero. That's cute, James, but I've always known I was the devil, a necessary evil. But sure, let's take a walk down memory lane. Maybe that will remind you who the hell you're dealing with. My attempts were bringing up nothing. I managed to break into my own network after many times, but I couldn't find the trace of another device. No trace of information transfer. Wait. Information transfer. Outgoing and incoming traffic. Hell, I'm stupid. He can see a stream of my screen, which means I have outgoing traffic somewhere, right? I start monitoring my outgoing traffic. And encrypted, of course, but there's still an address. A server that this information was going through. I find the address of the server and decide to do something extremely stupid that might sentence myself to prison or worse. No access to a computer. But I decide that it's a small price to pay for the safety of my family. Well, well, Danny. Watch your screen as the images pop up. Let's roll the tape, ladies and gentlemen. What a psycho. I didn't pay much attention to the tone of his voice as I set up my botnet for a distributed denial of service attack. My hope is that if I bring down the server for a bit, I'll be able to see where the requests are coming from and track it from there. It's a long shot, but it may work. As I'm doing this, I also stop recording the call and send it over to my laptop. All the while I'm angling my phone away from my laptop, and since he hasn't spoken of it, my theory is that the only camera being my phone turned out to be correct. I finally feel like I'm making the right move in the twisted game of chess, and I'm just hoping I'll be the one to say checkmate at the end of it. Victim number 1, Brock, 16 years old. You destroyed his relationship and got him kicked out of his home, and he spent 3 years on the street before overdosing on heroin. That wasn't a nice thing to do, Danny. A picture of a 16-year-old Brock pops up. He died? Hell, he was an asshole, but didn't deserve to die. I went too far, but I couldn't admit it. Not to this guy. I had to show him that I had no heart. Well, life sucks. Survival of the fittest and all that. Maybe he should have been more careful with whom he messed with. Another disgusting laugh. James was enjoying himself. Should I be? No time for that right now. I put the phone on loudspeaker and placed it on my desk, wary that the front camera may be used. I kept it well out of sight and put an earphone in my left ear. Time to tweak around with this recording and unmodulate this voice. Danny, this isn't going to end up well if you show no remorse. Now the fun begins. Remember his girlfriend? It's confession time, Danny. As it were alive, my PC opened up Skype. Auto signed in. Hell, I'm stupid. Was I really that lazy? A number entered into it, and it began dialing. What do you want me to do, James? Tell her the online bae was me and Brock wasn't a cheating dick? What's that gonna change? My botnet was ready, so I started my attack on the server address instantly. I then watched my incoming and outgoing traffic closely. All I needed was a hiccup, something that would lead me to James. In that moment, it was like the entire world grinded to a halt. In that moment, it wouldn't matter to me if the moon were crashing down to Earth, to end all life as we knew it. All that mattered was this stream of information. Tick, tock. I could hear the second hand on my watch ticking. There, a clue. I was starting to lose hope. I started to work on it. Did James notice? I'd imagine his connection to my network might have dropped since I saw a request ping but nothing going back. He was too busy trying to guilt trip me that he got too cocky and didn't notice. My Skype was still ringing. Was she going to pick up? Hello? A girl's voice sounded. It sounded a bit cute. Is James hooking us up? Wrong time for jokes there. James speaks to me. Go on, Danny. Answer her. Tell her your name and what you did to Brock. I decide to play along. True, he didn't call me from my mum's number, but that doesn't mean he still can't hurt her. Liz? Hey, it's Daniel Kerr. We went to high school together, with Brock. There was a pause. I can't imagine how awkward this must be for her. I didn't have time to care, though. I ran a search on the address, and while that was going on, I continued tweaking with the recording. Danny, are you that loony kid that used to get beaten up all the time? Loony? That was cold. I had to fight back the urge to shout and educate her ignorant arse on what autism was. Whatever, though, not my concern. At least breaking this news to her wouldn't be as painful as I thought it would be. Yeah, that's me, the loony kid. I laughed. I swear I could hear James laughing too. So, listen, I don't suppose you remember Brock Leland? You kind of slept with him at the time. Maybe not my best choice of words. Yeah, I remember him. He died from an OD. Makes me feel horrible breaking up with him. Why? How do I say this? This is a confession. If she takes this to the police, I'm screwed. Screw any chance of getting away with this. I was 16 though. Does that matter? I read somewhere that crimes committed before 18 aren't dealt with anymore. I was just a kid. Damn it, to hell with this. I needed to stop this madness before he makes me a victim of an attack I committed after I was 18. Yeah, well, it's my fault he did that. He made my life a living hell when I was at school, so I decided to fight back. He never cheated on you. I just made it look like he was. And after a really long pause, which gave me time to work on the recording, nothing remotely human yet, and while still searching for an address, she responds. Danny? Yeah? I know. She knows? What does she mean? Is she connected to James, or was this going against James's plan? Is she James? Wait, how do you know? Another pause. What the hell was going on? How does she know? My search comes up with something. James is definitely in the same country, but I had to narrow it down. Why was it taking so long? I hear her take a deep breath. I always knew Brock was faithful. It's why I stuck around. I wanted to leave him because he was a horrid person. Not to me, but other people. I mean, look at you, Danny. Sure, you were bullied by everyone, but Brock kept taking it too far. And it wasn't just you. Other people would be pushed around by him every day, and I was sick of it. Another pause. Was she crying? I could definitely hear her crying. I didn't want to cut in at all. I let her take her time. And then she continued. I guess I was looking for a way out. And seeing this girl that Brock was supposedly cheating on me with was my ticket. I knew he was faithful. But I had to take this chance to end the relationship there. I just didn't know his life would be ruined because of it. I mean, we were just kids. Her voice grew louder. I could tell she was beating herself up about this. I felt compelled to comfort her in some way. Liz, it wasn't your fault. He made the wrong choices in life and ultimately couldn't live with them. You were trapped in that relationship, and you were under no obligation to continue with him. It wasn't your fault. I did this. And I'll gladly take the blame. I've got to still ask, though. How did you know it was me? She laughed. I guess it was a stupid question, and I knew the answer before she came out with it. I'm not stupid, Danny. I knew Brock isn't the type of person to get into trouble with Anonymous or stuff like that. I snorted. I knew that Brock pissed off someone good with computers, and the only person I could think of was you. I laughed. I didn't care if James was listening. I didn't care if he would blast through the door and shoot me in the head. I laughed at how stupid I really was, and how I thought I was being clever. But a thought quickly wormed itself into my mind. James was not going to be happy with this outcome. Liz, are you with someone right now? My thoughts are to get her somewhere safe, somewhere James can't get her without causing too much tension. No, I'm out. And then the line cuts. Liz? I pick up my phone. What have you done to her? There was silence, not a single noise, and I look at my phone puzzled. We were still connected. Where the hell did he go? This isn't the time for a toilet break. Then I heard a sound. He's there. He starts to speak. His voice changed, not modulating into something else, but his tone. He wasn't happy. Homo sapiens are an intriguing species. They never do things the way you expect them to do. And I hear a sigh. She will be dealt with soon. For now, though, let's continue our trip down memory lane. Oh my god, he's going to kill her. Crap, I need to hurry up and find something, anything. I can't let her die because of that. Another picture shows up. The child molester that I scared the hell out of and ended up taking his own life. What sort of justice was James looking for here, if any at all? I started to panic. Why is he making me do all of this? Surely, if he knows I did these attacks, he has evidence. Why not just turn it over to the police? All the more reason to find this guy. Jordan Fisher, age 36. You masqueraded as all the children he'd molested and caused him to take his own life. Now you might think this an act of heroism. But if so, why haven't you told anyone about your heroic act, Danny? He was mocking me. He continued to talk of heroism, disgusting me. I needed to find Liz. I needed to alert the police and let them know she was in danger. And what are you supposed to be doing now, James? Are you a hero to these people? Are you acting out their revenge? Wake up! These people were criminals. All I did was rid the world of them. I looked over to my search window. It was narrowing it down, finally getting somewhere, and I returned to tweaking the voice recording. I felt like I was getting closer to finding out what the James's real voice was. But it wasn't male. It was definitely female. Well, anything that would tell me anything about James would help. One thing is certain. People feel safe as long as they're under the illusion that they're secure. Once you break that illusion, once you burst the bubble, the panic begins. And one thing you can be certain of is that people that panic mess up. Human nature, I guess. James responds. Justice. I'm not doing this for justice, Danny. I'm playing a game. With you. It doesn't seem like you understand what the game is yet. I feel sorry for you, but let's continue. Fisher had a daughter. Did you know that? She was 15 when her father took her own life. Tell me, Danny, don't you think she should know how her dad died? I mean, it's only fair, right? Time to confess. Oh, I almost forgot. Her name is Sarah. You'll need that when you talk to her. As before, another number was dialed into my Skype and it began to ring. She was 15? I was still 16 at the time. How can a child molester have kids? I deprived one of her dad, but he was a monster. What have I done? Hello? Who's there? Help me. A girl, her voice aching with distress. I can hear an echo. Where is she? And why does she sound like she's in trouble? James starts to speak again. Danny, you better answer her. Who knows what might happen to her? Another one of his laughs echoed through my phone. He disturbed me. I had no choice. Sarah, are you okay? What's going on? I thought it best to check if she was alright before confessing to my crime. Chivalry and all of that. I don't know. I think I'm okay. I can't feel my legs though. Her breathing started to increase. Who are you? Where am I? Please help me. What the hell was going on? Did James kidnap her? I needed her to calm down. What kind of twisted game is this? Just calm down, Sarah. Can you look around and tell me what you see? I turned to my phone. James was silent. I wasn't having it. Time for some answers. Okay, James, what the hell's going on? What have you done to Liz and Sarah? James was quick to respond this time. 10 minutes, Danny. You have 10 minutes to find them. I was just about to react. Screw trying to find James right now. There are innocent people's lives on the line here. I needed to find them. I needed to trace Sarah's phone, and I had an idea how. Sarah responds before I could do anything. It's so dark here. I see a camera on a stand in front of me. I'm in a chair, but I can't get up, and I can't feel my legs. It's so dark. What is going on? He's probably using a burner phone. No good to me right now. Tracing it will take ages. Hang on, Sarah is 19. She's got to have a smartphone. Sarah, listen to me very carefully. I need you to fill your pockets. Do you have a phone? And if so, is it on you? I hear a few groans. Whatever James did to her was painful. I guess her legs were broken. Yeah, I have my iPhone with me. It's not dead. Shall I call the police? She asks. But I could tell from her tone she was happy she still had her phone on her. If she calls the police, she dies instantly. James snaps. If you don't want her to die, you have to find her yourself. Damn. I didn't intend to rely on the police anyway, but they would have helped. I needed to find a way to explain to her just how dire the situation was without making her panic enough to call them. I didn't think James would be happy with me telling her the conditions of our little game. My brain was working quickly. Sarah, no need to call the police. I'm Detective Haynes. I've been looking at you, and you've been missing for a while. Now I need you to tell me what your iCloud username and password is, and I'll track you using the Find My iPhone app. I tried to keep my voice calm. I didn't want to induce panic. She gave me her details, and I logged in and looked for her phone. Within a matter of seconds, it showed the location. It was a 5-minute walk away. Got her location, James. Now let her go, I reply. Another laugh. Oh, Danny. I didn't ask you to give her location. I asked you to find her. Run, Danny. But take your phone with you. We still have a lot to chat about. It dawned on me why she was so close, and why he gave me such a long time frame for an easy task. I had to physically find her. I dropped everything and ran. Before I left, I grabbed a small kitchen knife and wrapped it in a towel. I may need it, though I doubt it would do much if a real threat showed itself. I ran to the address as fast as I could. At the time I rarely exercised, and when I reached the address I felt like I was dying. I saw a large building in front of me, at least 7 stories high. There were no bells to ring, so I banged on the door as hard as I could to no reply. I didn't have time to waste. I tried to find a weak spot in the door. It was so old it wasn't too hard. Remember how I didn't exercise? Or try busting down a door when you struggle to open a jar of honey. I looked around for something to use. There were a few bricks lying around, and I instantly grab one and throw it at the door, hoping there isn't anyone on the other side. The brick just bounces off. I take it and start hitting the hinges of the door, and after a few swings it finally lets loose. 1 hinge down, no time to celebrate, and I keep hammering on the door until it finally breaks loose. Sarah? Sarah, are you here? Can you hear me? I run inside and look around hastily. There must have been 20 or so rooms in the building, and I didn't have time to look through each of them. Then, I hear her scream for help. Sarah, I'm here. Keep talking to me. I'm coming. Detective, I'm over here. Be careful, there's someone else. I stop outside the door the sound's coming from. Is James there? Would he risk exposing his identity like this? I'm running out of time. I take out the small knife and kick open the door. I step into the room, knife raised, steadying my breath. I look around the room. It's dark, and I wait for my eyes to adjust, and I start to make out a chair with someone sitting in it. A stand with what I assume is the camera from Sarah's description, and a figure standing opposite to me. A female figure. I couldn't quite see her face yet. My eyes were taking forever to adjust. I turned to face the figure while glancing at Sarah. Sarah, are you okay? I needed to make sure she was fine before whatever is about to go down. Yeah, I started to feel my legs again, but I can't move. There's another girl here with red hair, but she's passed out. She sounded relieved, I guess. She thinks I'm a fit detective with dashing hair and stunning eyes. Oh, I do not envy her for the disappointment she's in for. The red-haired girl was probably Liz. So this is the grand battle then. At least, it was almost over. Just as I'm about to address the figure who I could only assume was James, I hear a familiar voice coming from her. Hey, Danny. I freeze. That voice. It can't be. It's impossible. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. But it also terrified me. Who was the one person I kept no secrets with? Who was the one person that knew everything I'd ever done? Who was the one person that had access to my address, PC, apartment, phone, and everything I owned? Who was the one person I shared my heart with? Angela? I whisper softly. The thought that my girlfriend, my heart and soul, had done this crushed me. I felt tears rolling down my face. Of course it had all made sense. This supreme hacker never did any hacking at all. She had just installed cameras in my apartment because she was always there. She knew I didn't have any of my own. She had her address spoofed as my own because she knew what it was. She added James to my Facebook because she had my login details, and I shared everything with her. The thought of her doing this never once crossed my mind. Why are you doing this? I don't understand. What did I ever do to you? I'm speaking through tears and could barely string together the sentence. My eyes started to adjust. Angela was crying too, or was I hallucinating? Ta-da! She sings through tears. Are you proud of me yet, Danny? Did you enjoy our game? At this point, I'm angry, confused, and tired. Why? The tears don't stop. Instead, they increase in intensity. Why are you doing this? Why are you hurting innocent people? Me? I've only ever loved you. She laughs. Her laugh is fake, I can tell, but she laughs all the same. Why? Don't you know why, Danny? Don't you know why your girlfriend is doing this? Did you not find it odd I didn't introduce you to my parents? Ever? I did find it odd. She was always reluctant on telling me who her parents were, but I didn't mind. I loved her, not for her parents. But what has this got to do with anything? As I'm searching for answers, it hit me. Her dad must have been a victim of my attacks, and I confessed it all to her. But still, if he was a victim to an attack from me, he must have been a criminal. Why is she doing this? Oh, it seems like you understand. My dad was David Jessington. You know the drug dealer you put behind bars? I loved you, Danny. I still do. But when my dad was arrested, he made me swear to make whoever did this to him pay. I tried and looked for whoever did it, but after a year I gave up. Then I met you, and I fell in love, and I thought we would live our lives together. Then you told me that there would be no secrets between us, and you told me everything you'd ever done, including getting my dad arrested. She takes a breath and wipes away her tear and continues. I spent weeks fighting with myself internally. I tried to forget that I was in love with the man responsible for me not being able to see my father. I tried, but I couldn't. Eventually, I went to visit him. I asked him if I still had to make the one who did this pay, even if it was someone I loved deeply. And I pleaded with him to forgive me, but he looked at me and told me I had the power to avenge him, and didn't. He'd disown me as a daughter and never forgive me. Her tears had returned and she started to stutter as she spoke. Danny, I love you. I always will. But I swore to my dad, and if he ever finds out I let you go, he'll kill me. At least if I made it look like I made you pay, he'll let you go. I don't care if I'm arrested. I don't care if you hate me forever. I love you. That's why I'm doing this. My heart ached. I felt her pain. I felt her struggle. I wanted more than anything to just go to her and hug her and tell her it'll all be okay. I dropped my knife and began walking towards her. I didn't care if she killed me. I didn't care if the whole world was against me. I loved her, and I wanted to fight for her. With every step I took towards her, my heart began to flutter. It was like I was falling in love with her all over again, but she kept crying and raising her own knife towards me. Danny, please stop. I don't want to do this. I can't let you get close to me again. Please, Danny. She pleaded, but I didn't care. I kept walking. She realized I didn't care if I died, so she raised the knife to her neck, and I stopped and stared. Please, I don't want to hurt you anymore. I can't do this anymore. I run to her, right as she's about to drive the knife into her own neck. I hold the blade with my bare hand and blood starts dripping from it, but I didn't care. I love you, Angela. I always have. I don't care who your dad is. I don't care if the whole world is on his side. I'll fight for you. And we can stop this madness together. She continues to cry and drops the knife. As I lean in to kiss her, I hear sirens in the background. Someone must have seen me break into the building and alerted the police, but I didn't care. I was in my own world with my other half. What happened next was a blur. First it was the police, then it was an ambulance. Angela and I were arrested, but thanks to the witness reports by Liz and Sarah, I was released immediately. I attended Angela's hearing and she looked happy to see me there. Her sentence wasn't too long, less than her father's, but I didn't care. I promised her I'd fight with her until the end, and I meant every word. I kept visiting her every chance I got, each visit with a new gift, each visit with more stories to tell each other. She'll be out one day, and I'll always be there for her. Once she comes out, we'll move away. I'm working hard, taking every shift I can, earning every penny I can. I won't tack again. I will never take justice into my own hands because even though it may have helped, I've hurt others in the process. And maybe they deserved it. Maybe what I did was right. But I am not justice, and I have no right to claim to be so. For now, though, I know what I must do, and I have my heart set on the path I've chosen. Maybe I made the wrong decision. Maybe I should have let her die and continued my vigilante run. Maybe there is no place for us far enough that we can run where her father can't find us. But I don't care. My fight isn't over. It's only just begun. July 1st, 2018. A face is staring into the camera. Sandy-haired, mid-20s male. Something reminiscent of a squirrel in his rabid mannerisms. The big day is finally here. This is our first time testing out our new spider bot on the dark web, and we're both pretty excited. We've only gotten a week left to iron out the bugs before Kevin has to defend his thesis. But I don't anticipate any problems. Kevin is nervous as hell, but the kid is an absolute genius. He's still configuring his Tor network and VPN, so I'm going to catch everyone up who's just joining the stream now. Typical web crawlers haven't been able to explore the dark web because they can't index specific inputs like forms or authentication phrases. I'm mostly here for moral support. I don't understand it completely, but Kevin's Spiderbot has machine learning algorithms which have been training the past few weeks to learn a new adapted method of keyword selection. Did you hear that derisive snort at my oversimplification? Yeah, that's Kevin. Say hi, Kevin. The streamer looks off camera. Shut up, Brian. Whatever, screw you, man. Based on the training results, we should be able to index a couple of thousand pages a day. Google only reaches 16% of all available websites, so that means it's going to take us approximately forever to get through all of it with our current computing power. This is just the proof of a concept, though. All we're using is Kevin's old laptop that his dog Crinkles partially smashed. The power cord was stretched across the room and this little bulldog comes barreling right through. Hold on, looks like we're good to go. If all goes well, then in a few months, you're going to start reading about how the dark web ceased to exist because of our little spider. I'm going to end the stream now to let it get started, but join us again tomorrow to explore all the cool stuff we find. July 3rd, 2018. The sandy-haired man is back. There are bags under his eyes, but he's as enthusiastic as ever. Hey guys, it's me again. Sorry for the delay, but we hit an unexpected bump. Spider was doing great and had already logged a few hundred sites when it abruptly stopped with this weird error. It keeps telling us that it's already indexed everything. Kevin is able to manually direct it to keep finding new sites, but as soon as it's automated, it just says it's finished again. But it's not like this has been a complete waste of time. We did discover a brand new, never-before-seen color that I'm pretty sure didn't used to exist. All Kevin had to do was put on a white t-shirt about a week ago, eat nothing but barbecued chicken wings and sweat the sauce out. The camera starts to pan to the left. An unseen hand shoves it back into place. Anyway, it looks like we might still be a while, so... Got it. I don't understand, but I've got it. Well, whip me red and call me applesauce because it looks like we're back in business. What? That's not a saying. Nobody says that. Kevin, you have got to get out more. People are saying that like all the time. So what's the holdup? It's all linked. Look at this. A drug marketplace, an anime forum, a counterfeit producer, some dungeon porn. You have my attention. It's all referencing the same destination. Spider stops indexing it because it thinks the whole dark web is one site. I'm going to try and get in. That relates to a joke I know. So a drug lord, a weeaboo, and a con man and a porn star all walk into a bar. This isn't a real joke, just shut up, I'm trying to concentrate. And the barman says, what are you guys doing together? So the drug lord says, they've all got something to hide. Even the porn star? It's got to be a blackmail thing. These guys must be tunneling into other websites to get info or hold them ransom. But there's no way they can be everywhere. Every single site Spider finds... Oh crap. They're on my computer. I have no idea how, but they trace Spider back. The mouse is moving on its own. It's typing an address into Tor. What are you doing? Popping the battery out. The power button isn't working. No, don't. The streamer dives off camera, bumping noises. Give that back, dude. The streamer returns in front of the camera holding a battered old laptop. Nah, man, this is what the people are here to see. Let's find out where the hackers are trying to take us. I swear to God, Brian. An overweight torpedo, wearing a blotchy shirt of unclassifiable colour, hurtled across the screen. The streamer's chair tips over and both men go down. The laptop is left in front of the camera where a long line of seemingly random letters and symbols are typing themselves into the address bar of a Tor browser. Indistinct, muffled swearing. The website loads. A countdown timer starts and 15 minutes begin to tick down. Kevin and Brian stick their heads up over the desk in unison to stare at it. At least shut down the damn camera, Kevin says. Only if you'll let it count down so we can see what happens, Brian replied, swatting away Kevin's hand which stretched for the laptop. God, you're such an asshole. Whatever, fine, just shut it off. The sandy mare begins to wave, but the screen cuts off halfway through. When the stream turns, the timer reads 15 seconds. The angle is weird, as if the camera is in his lap, hidden beneath the desk. The looming Brian is pacing and muttering to himself. In the corner of the screen, Kevin surreptitiously leans over the camera and gives a thumbs up, mouthing the letters, "Oh my God," and the timer hits 0 and stays there. A dog starts barking somewhere in the distance. Are you happy now? Kevin grunts. Give it back, okay? There's a knock at the door. A single loud and deliberate knock. Barking intensifies, snarling, growling, and all hell broke loose in its little world. Not really. A second knock, and a third. You get it, both men say nearly in the same instant, and they stare at each other until the next knock. This is your fault, Kevin wheezes in a voice halfway between a whisper and a shout. Yeah, he replies. He approached the door, camera angle still at waist height, then in a louder voice. Who is it? Are you still recording? Kevin hisses. Unbelievable. The screen is filled by the door as Kevin gets closer. He's right up against it. He's probably looking through the peephole where there's a loud crash. A sound loud enough to max out the speaker volume, and the door explodes inwards with a wave of splinters. The screen shakes erratically, but there's nothing but splinters and lances of light and screaming. A grey-skinned hand streaked across the camera. If you freeze the frame, you'll notice the skin looks more like coarse cloth, and that there is stitching running up and down the fingers, and the stream cuts. July 10th, the streamer is back. His face seems paler, his skin is breaking out, and his hair hangs in greasy strings around his face. He is sitting at a bare table in a concrete room. The lights are dim, and there's a large man standing in the back of his room. His hands are folded motionlessly in front of him. Yeah, hi guys. This might be my last broadcast for a while. He glances back at the figure in the corner, but there's no movement. Back to the camera. Kevin, okay, I mean, he's different, but he's okay. He glances back into the corner of the room, but the figure still hasn't budged. Brian's shadow shifts with his movement, and for a moment, the stitched cloth/skin of the person in the corner is visible, running all the way up his arm. I guess they had something like Spider. They were only tunneling into websites on the dark web anyway. I guess those kinds of people would disappear without many questions being asked. They wanted my followers to know, though. Brian swallowed. He looked behind him again. Then a sudden burst of movement, grabbing the camera and dragging it up to his face. Close your browser now, shut off your computer. The figure in the back started to move, great lumbering steps charging forward. Brian's words are breathy and rushed. It only takes 15 minutes for them to find you once I've established a connection. And the cloth hand seizes Brian from behind and drags him off camera. Don't do this, Kevin, he shouts. How long has your browser already been open? Just shut the damn thing off. There's a heavy thud. A heavy face appears in front of the camera for a moment. The human eyes look strange embedded within the cloth. Stitches run down either side of the face along the jawline. The cloth might just be sewed to the skin, but it fits so closely to the anatomy of Kevin's face that it looks more like the cloth has replaced it. The stream cuts to black, replaced by the last few seconds of a depleting timer. Hey guys, it's Mort here, and thank you so much for listening. I do enjoy making deep web videos. Had to record over 2 days, it was quite long. Had to get our car serviced today, so when I got back, I barely had time to finish the last story and the 2 first ones. I don't always record in order, in fact I often mix things up. Anyway, I really hope that you did enjoy the stories. I actually have 5 more deep web videos. Again, I cannot validate their authenticity as to, being true or not. That is why the title, as you may have noticed, is truly not true. But yeah, I do enjoy reading them. I do enjoy narrating them a lot. I think they're really fun. So do let me know if you'd like me to do another deep web follow-up video soon. The next one should be significantly longer. 4 long stories and 1 XL. Yeah, it's going to be a long one. I'm estimating at least an hour and 15 minutes, maybe more. But do let me know, and who knows, perhaps we'll have that in October. As always, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to my members, coffee supporters and patrons for your continued contributions and help in running the channel. It really is invaluable, so thank you all. And again, Elke, huge happy birthday. Alright then guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for today. Make sure to have tape over your webcam. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.